afternoon, class. Today we are going to put all of our past lessons together and we're going to fill a prescription from the beginning all the way to the end. Now, our objectives for today is, upon giving a prescription and resources, the learner will fill a prescription for a controlled drug 100% of the time. Upon giving a prescription and resources, the learner will fill the prescription for non-controlled drugs accurately 100% of the time. Our third objective is, upon giving a prescription, the learner will be able to differentiate between over-the-counter and a legend drug 100% of the time. Okay, so what we're going to do today, you're going to have 3 prescriptions. One prescription is going to be for a controlled drug, one prescription is going to be for a non-controlled drug, and one prescription is going to be for an over-the-counter drug. First thing that you're going to need to do on all these drugs is determine whether it is controlled, non-controlled, or over-the-counter. Now, if it's an over-the-counter, we don't have to fool with it. We don't have to fill it. But I do want you to actually research the drug. I want you to know the generic name, the brand name, and the indication. What is it used for? Now, on the non-controlled drug, what you need to do on it is you need to determine if it's controlled or non-controlled. And since it's a non-controlled, you don't have to worry about the DEA number. But I do want you to go through all the steps and make sure your label is filled out correctly and all that kind of stuff. Here's our mock pharmacy. Here's our vials for you to choose from. There's your label. There's our tape for us to put it on there. And then our control drug will have a DEA number on it, and you will need to go through your calculations for your DEA number to make sure that it is valid. Now, I'm going to do one on the board. And I'll do one on the board, and then you will do your 3. So, like I said, when you get your prescriptions, you will have certain resources that you can use. Now, what are some of our online resources that we use?
www.drugs.com.
Okay, what else?
www.drugstore.com.
Okay, what else?
www.pdr.net.
And we can also use our online facts and comparisons. Okay, so those are our online resources. And remember, your other resources that you can use are your textbooks, your anatomy book, pharmacology, medical terminology, and all your pharmacy books. We can use all of those resources too. All right, this is going to be our first prescription that we're going to look at. Okay, here's our prescription for Minnie Mouse. It's for Lortab 5 325s. Our SIG is 1 PRN or 1 as needed every 6 hours for pain. 0 refills, and here's our DEA number. Now, for our DEA number, remember we have 2 checks on the DEA number. We look at the second digit. The second digit has to be the first letter of the doctor's last name, and that checks out. So then we go to our second check. Our second check is our first, third, and 5th digit, which is 2 plus 7 plus 3 plus 12. And then we're going to do our second, 4th, and 6th digit, which is 5, 4 and 5. We get 14, and then we multiply that by 2, we get 28. So this is our sum 1. That's our sum 2. Now we add those two together. Now our 1 digit here has to equal our 7th digit there, and it does. 0 equals 0. So our DEA number is correct. So the validity of our prescription is good. So the next thing we'll have to do, we have our prescription, and then we have to find our Lortab. We have to get our counting tray. And we fill in our label, and then we attach our label to our vial. All right, after you have attached your label to the vial, then you're going to bring that up to me with your prescription. The questions that I'm going to ask you is the brand name, the generic name, the indications, and the contraindications. And if you don't know these, then you need to get on the computer and use our resources to find that out. So this is our example, and you can go ahead and get started on yours. So what's your brand name?
Ritalin.
And what's your generic name? Methylphenidate.
Yeah.
And what's your indication?
Central nervous system
Stimulant.
stimulant used for ADD and ADHD for children.
And what's a contraindication?
Discontinue for anxiety, tension, and or
Agitation.
agitation.
Okay. All right. Okay, so this was a control drug. You had to check your DEA number. So how did you know that the DEA number was okay? You did your DEA check, right?
Yes, with all this.
Okay. All right. Very good for your control drug. Now, there's your next prescription. looks good. So what's our brand name?
Lasix.
And what's our generic name? Furosemide.
Yeah.
And what is it used for? What's our indication? Loop diuretic.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
Swelling of your hands and feet, swelling in your body.
And what's our contraindication for this?
Do not take it pregnant or breastfeeding.
Okay, very good. All right, now let's do your last prescription. What is that prescription for?
Pain relief or
Read the prescription itself. What is the prescription for?
Motrin 200 milligrams.
Now, is Motrin 200 milligrams, is that something that the patient needs a prescription for?
No, that's an over-the-counter.
It is over the counter. But I like to do this because sometimes patients get confused. Doctors will write it on a prescription pad, what they needed to go buy, and they get confused and give it to the pharmacy. So for this case, Motrin is our drug, it's our brand name. What's our generic name?
Ibuprofen.
And what's the indication, what's it used for?
Pain relief and fever reduction.
Okay, very good. All right, well, I'm going to just sum up what we did today. We filled 3 prescriptions. Our first prescription was a control drug. We had to make sure that our DEA number was valid. And we had to, if we didn't know this was a control drug, we had to research on our resources and know that that's a controlled drug. And then we had to learn what our generic name was, our indications, and our contraindications. Then our second prescription was a non-controlled drug, so we didn't have to worry about our DEA number, but we still had to research our drug, find the generic name, the indication, and contraindications for that. Our third prescription was an over-the-counter, and we just need to know our over-the-counter drugs and their generic names in case the patient turns those into us just like they would any other prescription. Any questions?
No.